Hello friends, today we're starting another analysis and today we're going to review the game of our new acquaintance. This is Misha. Misha, please tell us about yourself. How did you end up here? What is your game and why and how did you make it? If you want to scale up and get published, go to the Cast.ai website and fill out the publishing form. If you just want to monetize your game, go to the Cast.ai website and fill out the mediation form.
By a twist of fate, I found myself in this industry about 4 years ago. Gradually, as I learned, I made my first mistakes, then my second, third, and fourth. During this time, I assembled a team on my own, looked for people to work remotely, and together we created one game after another. We tried different things. Some didn't work out, so we changed our approach or the idea. Over this period, we made 4 games. All of them are available in the store, but the main and most polished project is Harvest Empire, which we'll be talking about today. It's the one that took the most time and, let's say, the most of my involvement, both as a visionary and, to some extent, as a project manager. That was my rather chaotic entry into the industry. Back then, 4 years ago, it seemed like this industry had much more potential than it appears to have now. So the result of all that work ultimately materialized in this project.
Look, Misha, when we consider the prospects in this industry, it is both growing and developing. No expert can really tell you the right way to do things here. We can only point out what you definitely shouldn't do. Whether a particular thing will help someone, that will become clearer in the process. Tell us more specifically about the current prototype.
To put it simply, this particular concept did not just emerge from nowhere. The dedicated project manager I was working with and I both liked the original idea behind Lumber Empire. It's about a sawmill. Some elements from there are probably still visible, but a lot has been completely reworked, and I thought it was really important to come up with a new kind of economy. We kept reworking and expanding it, making it more hardcore. Hardly that, yet it's definitely more serious.
Victoria, go ahead and tell us what you think about the action idle subgenre. It's not our first action idle game.
As an ASO specialist, could you please tell me which one I should focus on more for ASO? The one with more keywords, so there will be more search queries. So, if we're talking specifically about our app here, there's a video. I really like that at least you uploaded it. Right away something interesting happens and it's engaging to see exactly what's going on. I think in this particular case, with the video, you can really only test it through A/B tests, so I don't see any obvious issues right now. Talking about the screenshots. It's clear, but this screenshot, like, build your team, isn't interesting. I would move it somewhere else. To the 5th or 6th position, I think it's more interesting to show how you can earn, how you can spend, build some kind of empire, and so on. So, the ones with coins, where something is growing or dropping, those should be the first screenshots. This very first screenshot is also not quite clear about what it's showing. I'm not sure if I explained my idea clearly, but the visual aspect on Android is very important because the user sees the icon. They go to your app's page and then decide, and since this is a game app, that's especially true. Everything will depend on its visuals, your video, your rating, your screenshots, whether they'll install it or not. No one is going to read the description. That's why, when it comes to screenshots, you really need to test them regularly through A/B tests and see which ones increase conversion. I'm sure there's plenty of room to work on it, even if you just take a quick look at your competitors. I mean, they also have very flashy screenshots, but I think, specifically in this niche, if we're talking about farming games, overall, that's quite acceptable. Still, it really feels like there's already something specific you could improve. Yes, and I would recommend you run your screenshots through some A/B tests to make them more interesting to boost your conversion rates. The rating is very low at the moment, it needs to be raised to at least 4.5, although for tycoons, honestly 4.2 to 4.3 is more typical. That's usually the case, but Zoriana can confirm this. The higher your rating is, the cheaper your traffic will be. We can help with the rating, just let us know, we'll boost your rating and everything will look great for you. Now, regarding ASO optimization, have you worked on it at all?
Our audience was only English speaking. Localization was done, but honestly, I didn't even finish it properly so that the other languages haven't launched. That needed addressing. But at one point in Canada, the rating was 4.8. In England, it was something like 4.3, and the US responded poorly, leaving negative feedback about the game being unfinished, raw, and so on. Their ratings were even worse, and honestly, in the end, it was the most profitable in terms of money. And the cheapest to acquire users was in the US, even though their ratings were low. But Canada, despite its positivity, didn't perform very well. And then later, Canada's rating dropped, and honestly, I didn't notice any difference, neither in acquisition cost nor in volume.
But for users, there's a very important psychological factor, whether the rating is above 4 or below 4.
From an ASO perspective, the rating is low and needs to be improved. Regarding the phone, your rating is just 3.8. If we're talking about the overall rating, yes, it's 3.9, but on the phone, people will see 3.8. That's also something to keep in mind. You could try reading the reviews to see what users are saying, or maybe add a survey inside to find out exactly what they don't like. You could also try sending a rate us request with feedback and so on, if you genuinely care and want to understand what's wrong and why they're leaving negative reviews. Regarding the screenshots, let us circle back to those for a moment. You have custom pages, and you can make 3, 5, or even 10 custom pages for your different ideas. As for the text part, honestly, you didn't put much effort in here. 658 characters is really not a very significant amount at all. I highly recommend writing a description of at least 2,000 characters, because there are still a lot of available search queries here, and you actually haven't included many of them. Things like the classic queries, farming, farm, tractor games, and so on. Judging by the video and the screenshots, you have all of that inside the game, but you don't mention any of these important keywords at all. If you don't mention them, you won't get indexed for those keywords. You just won't. Unrankable. Again, if you don't mention them, you won't be associated with similar apps in your niche. That's why this also affects indexing and impacts the software overall. This is why it's important to write good text, even for a game app. Even without aiming to rank or get organic traffic through keywords, it's still necessary. It is essential for you to have it anyway, so that you are recognized and ranked in your specific niche and among your competitors. From an App Store optimization perspective, these are the main problem areas that I have identified.
The visual component is extremely vital because at a certain point you still need to ensure your economics work effectively. That is, your CPA for some reason shouldn't be lower than your LTV. Improving game metrics isn't always the key to success. Often the key to success is actually lowering your CPI. Now let's hand it over to Zoriana. Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any latest game dev news or new case studies from our world.
Great, Misha. So we just talked about the ASO part. If you have any questions, you can reach out to Victoria or try doing some new optimizations or tests on your own that you haven't done before. Let's talk now specifically about digital paid traffic, and to make it even clearer for our valuable viewers, what specific attempts have you already made? Who exactly tried it? Please tell us all about it.
Yes, there were several attempts made before, back in previous versions with a different economy. We bought traffic in different countries, and I think we made a mistake by buying in non-English speaking countries like somewhere in Mexico, and we got some bad feedback and a very poor retention rate. Ultimately, the proactive acquisition of user traffic and the specific metrics I can discuss today were carried out exclusively in English-speaking countries. New Zealand and Australia also didn't show particularly interesting numbers. So in the end, I stuck with just 3 countries: the UK, Canada, and the US.
Please explain your monetization model. What are the in-app purchases and how much advertising is included?
In-app purchases and the overall economy are still in their early stages. In the latest iteration, we literally just added some offers. About 20% comes from in-app purchases, I think, and the rest is from ads, rewards. We didn't make them mandatory, of course.
And what retention did you get?
I didn't get the results I was hoping for. Roughly speaking, R1 was between 20% and 30%, and by day 7, it was around 4 or 5%.
I want to point out right away that any acquisition campaign, depending on how you set it up, will give you exactly the results you ask for. If you instruct Google to get you app installations, that's exactly what it will deliver, installs. But if you ask it to optimize for ad ROAS, which refers to your return on ad spend, then that is exactly what you will get. Google's algorithms will attempt to locate users who watch ads. If you set the parameter to find paying users, then the ad campaign will concentrate on driving in-app purchases and try to find people who most frequently make payments in games. Now, I suggest that we take a look at where they were buying traffic and what creatives they used. Essentially, let us examine what strategies they had going on at that time.
I'll add a little bit from myself, but not too much. First point, if you're testing retention rate and similar metrics, it's best and cheapest to do a Filipino localization and buy traffic specifically there because user behavior there is more or less similar to that in the US. But at the same time, a user in the Philippines will cost you not $0.10 but 0.01. The second point I wanted to mention to you right away. So, when you said you bought users in the United States for 0.20 or 0.15 each, that is exactly what you paid. Over what period did you buy them and how many users were acquired? Because you could also buy them for just 3C each, but only 1 to 2 per day or perhaps per week.
4,000 users, yes, split across those 3 countries.
You were bringing in about 50 users per day from each country.
That's right.
If you want to expand your operations according to the plan, then you need to increase the total number. But if you just want to simply boost the retention rate, then it's actually cheaper to go with the Philippines.
Now let's take a look at AppMagic. This is our partner who actually helps us track ad campaigns and monitor user acquisition. And with the new feature they've added, you can now see which SDKs are being used. Right within the application interface, you can also see exactly the ways in which they're monetizing and the various tools they're using. We use AppMagic. It's an exceptionally great tool for these kinds of needs. The first game you sent us is from App Quantum, which is a well-known and large project. Here you can carefully check out their retention rate. Again, I should mention that this isn't exact data. No one discloses it or adds it to their dashboards, but I think it's roughly, for this game, this data is more or less accurate. That is essentially how it stands. And let us carefully take a look at the average paying users they have in the game. The reason why I asked you about in-app purchases is because, well, let us take a look at their revenue figures. For the last month and for the lifetime, well done, they have made a very good game. Naturally, the vast majority of their traffic comes from the US, and there is a bit from Europe as well. Japan, Canada, France, and other countries are also included. And they buy traffic on Facebook. In fact, most of their traffic comes from Facebook. The traffic is coming in quite actively, and they're also buying on Google and on DSPs like Moloco, Mintegral, and there's also a plugin. For a more accurate result, I always look at a much longer time period. Again, this is Meta, and previously a plugin was performing very well for them overall, and for some reason it fizzled out. Why did it fizzle out? You can see all possible variations in the previous video. A single from Oleg Shlemovich. It is probably because ads stopped converting there. Here are the top creative assets they use. They're all gameplay videos, but I want to draw your attention to something. Please take a look. They're all exactly 2 minutes long. Here's the first video, which, starting right at the very top, it's exactly 1 minute in length for this specific genre. And actually, the team at Google themselves recently told us during another one-to-one session that longer videos are becoming quite popular once again. Let's watch it together.
While we're watching this, let's not forget one important thing. We're looking at videos that have been consistently popular for a long time, but
I'll show you for the last, yes. I took videos from the past month.
at this stage, here we can also mention another very important point. Regarding this entire situation with App Quantum, they specialize in in-app monetization. That's why they target Meta more frequently. They're aiming not for ad ROAS, but for purchaser ROAS, and accordingly for a specific audience. If you just need traffic, then you go to Google and other similar platforms if you're catching in-app through networks. And in this case, Meta is not the last, but actually one of the very first tools.
What I am demonstrating now is for the previous 30 days. And we see that over the past 30 days, they get 99% of their traffic from Meta. As we know, there's no HTML on Meta, just like there isn't on Google. Although now Google has shifted its approach to creatives, concepts, and videos, and they've added standalone playable ads. That's why on Meta, as you can clearly observe right now, they don't have playables, but if we go back to the last 90 days, there will be playables, though I saw them quite a bit further back in the historical data. So when they were buying traffic on Applovin, you see HTML started appearing right away. But for this genre, I think playables are a very necessary format and they should work well.
On the condition that you're not buying advertising on Google or Meta.
Provided that you're not buying on Meta. With Google, it's debatable.
Competitors like App Quantum and Frozen City have 46, a very healthy day 1 to day 7 ratio. Ideally, day 7 should be nearly half of day 1.
See screenshots. For those who haven't seen Frozen City, the US and Germany, Prison Empire, a user acquisition campaign. Now we'll look at everything. The countries are the same. Oleg joined at the right time. Retention rates are more or less the same everywhere for this genre. And again, note that the primary user acquisition was on Meta and a bit on Google, but the acquisition was small. This is for the last 90 days. There's also HTML, as you can see, and they were launching and testing some things. Well done. So to summarize what I wanted to say, yes, as we can see, these specific types of games are performing very well for competitors. When choosing right channel and source for user acquisition, we must consider it carefully. You also need to think through how the game will be monetized, how both in-app purchases and ads will work for you. But you'll discuss that with the product team. I think they can give you much better advice than we can. And creatives are a very important part of any marketing, as Oleg already mentioned. You can try running campaigns on Meta. You'll get different retention rates and different playtimes, but I want to tell you right away that your CPI will also be different. I think it'll be around $1 to $1.50.
I'll emphasize again that you need to have a clear understanding of which direction to go, whether that is towards in-app monetization or towards hybrid casual. Judging by your approach and the way you say this is some kind of business and so on, this is an in-app story, and you should also aim for in-app. Subscribe to the Cast.ai channel, hit the bell so you don't miss monetization strategies and case studies from the world of mobile games.